Welcome to VUC 2019, Visions Under Construction.
It still says 7:30. It'll say 7:39, in 2020, right? February 15th, 2019 is the last time I changed it. There it is, folks. Excellent. And I see there's some nice lag. I'm going to switch my camera over. We have an amazing lineup of guests today. Amazing that there aren't any at all. And that's pretty rare. Possible sighting of Marcus from Sipgate, but doesn't look like that's going to happen. James has a huge
bit of news.
News announcement. Go ahead, James.
Because last week we were talking in passing about the passing of David Duffett in his role as the global community director at Digium. And he has, after, was it 9 years, whatever it is he did, he has hung up the mantle, his orange trousers, or as they would say in Digium land. And so there was a debate as to whether the demise of Mr. Duffett would be linked to the demise of Astricon. And as this is a bit of a hot potato, we decided that we better go straight to the source of all knowledge. In this case, is the lovely Julie Webb at Digium, and
wouldn't she be at Sangoma now?
Yes, well, Digium is a Sangoma company, isn't it?
I think they're trying to do the branding over to Sangoma, though. No,
so, Julie is one of the survivors. They have reduced their manpower in Huntsville.
What about the other blonde lady who was also very nice? From
the little one.
No, she's tall, I think.
No, the little cuddly one.
No. The woman who used to work for Julie, with Julie, who was in that department. I think she's not short though, and she's
anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're detracting from my news. So
it's very important.
There will be an Astricon this year. And it will be in October, mid-October time. And the location,
barbecue capital of the world,
is going to be Atlanta.
Yeah. Excuse me. But hang on. The Texan resident has to speak up about that barbecue crack. That's
it's awfully good, Michael. I have never been to Texas. I spent months in Texas. Did you know they spent 6 months in Texas?
I think you've said.
Okay. Enough of that.
Thanks for sharing that with everybody.
It was the best of times and the worst of times. Yes. Oh, you're not done.
So there will be an Astricon.
There will be an Astricon. There will be
precise dates and the precise location, i.e. the hotel, are yet to be confirmed. But all the Astricon fans can sigh a sigh of relief that there will be one. That's
great. I need to go back to the other camera for a second to remind people to show up in Berlin, May 6th to 8th for Camellia World, where we'll all be.
Yeah, it's getting closer.
It is. It's the
closest. Notice that the first speaker lists have already been promulgated. In fact,
who is? You?
Well, yeah. We're going to be doing dangerous demos. But I'm hoping that I will be selected to do a 20-minute slot talking about building 4G networks using Camma Elio.
Okay, we're going to advance from the 4G, but before we do, the next thing on the agenda would be in July, mid-July, at Buckinghamshire, the United Kingdom, ComCon 2019.
Speaker proposals are now closed.
They are?
Yes, they are.
Oh, that's right, they are. That would be 2019.
Get your speaker proposal in, then you've missed it.
2019.comcon.xyz or XYZ if you prefer.
Z.
Then comes ClueCon in August. Wow, there's something every month except June.
That's a cracking photograph, isn't it? Look at that.
Isn't that wonderful?
Dan Jenkins.
Oh, but look who's right in the middle. It's the lovely Mira.
Lovely Mira. And Mr. Duffett and lovely Fred.
And Simon.
Where's Simon?
To the right.
Yes, there he is, wearing a coconut on his head.
That's a nice one, yeah. And then
and that who's that sitting next to Simon? It's his name, the Australian, isn't it?
I don't know that person. I'm not sure.
It's yeah.
Not the guy who has like 5 girlfriends that he's living with. Matt.
No. That's the other Australian.
Yeah. Well, there's only 2, right?
And then there's the guy with the beard who is
moving.
James, isn't it?
I don't know. Moving on. Then in October, so Astricon, we heard October just now.
Who were they?
IIT Real-Time Communication.
Oh yeah, of course. There's
the TAD hack. The Illinois Tech. No. So, wait, James, you did say that Astricon's talking about October? That's late for them, huh?
No, that's normal for Astricon.
Okay. So there you go. And there's TAD Hack the 12th to 13th, tadhack.com. And there's the conference and expo October 14th to 16th, Chicago. Boy, wouldn't it be nice if the 2 Chicago events were back to back, or 3 actually now, and then the Atlanta. Yeah, all right, fine. Anyway.
Oh, well, there's a bit of news on the TAD Summit front. So for the last 6-7 years, there has been 1 TAD Summit, but in 2019 there are going to be not 1, not 2, but 3 TAD Summits. So kicking off with a TAD Summit in Kuala Lumpur. That's TAD Summit Asia, May the 21st, 22nd. Then there will be a TAD Summit in Chicago, rather interestingly, mid-October.
Isn't that the one that I just had the slide for 2 minutes ago?
No, that was TAD Hack.
No. Oh, TAD Summit is in Chicago, but it's the same dates. Mid-October.
I think they follow on from each other, don't they?
Yeah.
They're going to kill two events with 1 stone. And then there's a TAD Summit Europe in London, in Idea London, which a venue we know well, November the 19th and 20th. Is
there this year a Mobile World Congress in Barcelona?
Yes, it was last week.
Oh, it was. Okay, I missed it. I've never been. Well, I mentioned that because I was wondering what the next, if there's anything.
Never been. Well, if you had, I think you would probably remember it.
Oh, yeah.
Enormous.
Well, I love Barcelona is great, but it's awfully crowded. Anyway, okay, we're March. May is Camellia World. What's in April? Anything? Good question, huh? Events in April. Oh, wait a minute. I know how to find that out.
It's good that you did a bit of preparation, Randy.
Yeah, here we go. What events are in April?
Easter.
Oh, you know what?
It doesn't work.
Yes, I can't reach Google.
I'm glad you prepared.
What events are in April? It's thinking.
Here are the events you requested. First up, calendar entry on April 2nd at 8 a.m. The title is Petite Déjeuner Lady Swine.
Oh, Jesus.
What?
That's I see the doctor's appointment. It's looking at the calendar. What we say? Communication.
On the 2nd of April.
What communication?
This is the definition of communication.
Shut up.
Or exchanging of information by
Quiet. What are the events in April?
According to Google.
Oh, for God's sake. According to Google. What can you tell me about communication events in April?
Here are some results.
That's it? That's all you got? The Ultimate Internal Communication Conferences Guide for 2019. Well, let's click and see. Insights at Staff Base. Where will you go next? Okay, Converge. Early Bird 100. I don't see the date. Education Communicators. Oh, that's February. Yeah, nice job on the, when you go to the site, they got events that have already happened. Here we go. This is the answer to my question. Marketing communications professional directors, especially at the convergence point of content, tech, and strategy. Let's see, that I count 5 keywords there, right? Buzzwords. Featured speakers include yada, 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 yada. April 8th to 10th, 2019.
Better if you had prepared for this old chat.
All right. Admiral Paul Zukunft of the U.S. Coast Guard will be speaking April 25th to 26th in Washington, D.C. at a cost of 1,290. I'm doing a bit here, James. You got to, this is comedy. Anyway, wait a minute. I got something. May 15th to 17th in Phoenix, Connect 19. Too bad Jay isn't here. Listen to this. Hey, it's going to be a hot one. Look at this. It says it's going to a hot one because nobody proofreads anymore. It says it's going to a hot one. The 2019 PRSA, which is, doesn't say, employee. Oh, PRSA employee. Well, that's staff base. Connect 19 will be the place for communication pros this May over 3 days. After coming to your world, of course, you'll learn about current trends and technologies to connect your employees, improve your workplace, and meet organizational objectives. Again, a nice, wonderful basket of buzzwords and keywords. And you'll get to meet Staff Base. We're proud to be a Connect 19 presenting sponsor for the event.
Connect 19, where's that?
Phoenix.
Well, what
May 17th to 2019. May 17th.
19, May 14th.
15, I'm sorry, 15th to 17th.
San Antonio.
And here is the photo that goes with it. There you go. Isn't that wonderful?
It might have been better to have done a little bit of preparation before doing that. So let's go back to Kama Elio World. Because we do know things about Kama Elio World, don't we?
What do we know?
Well, we know who some of the first speakers announced are speakers. Click here to see the speakers. God, faster.
Let me just.
So, in alphabetical order, we have Alex Balashov, a man of many words.
Oh, yes, Alex.
1 or 200 of them. Our favorite Moldovan, Alexander Dubikov, Scooby Dubikov.
All right.
We have that marvelous Austrian gentleman, Andreas Granig, who is really big in the world.
Who is this guy, Daniel Constantin Murla?
I think
I know him.
I've heard of him. We ought to get him on. And my favorite billing man, Dan Bogosh. What a lovely chap. And then we got that dodgy individual, Dan Jenkins.
There's a lot of Dans.
Yeah.
Daniel Pocock.
Got 3 of them. Daniel Pocock. Who let him in? Oh, I can't say that.
Professional software engineer and consultant.
Yeah. Do you remember Daniel Pocock's Dangerous Demo?
I don't.
Yeah.
There's the wonderful Elena, Ramona.
And then Fabio from Torino. He's the Evo SIP man, isn't he?
Yes. And then our old friend.
Big Fred. Yeah.
Big Fred. Big Fred with cookies and cakes.
And baby.
And babies. Wow. Yeah, they're coming with the baby. No, I don't know what.
Fred V.
Giovanni.
Giovanni is. My wife quite likes Giovanni. I can't think why.
I always like people who have that name. It's a great name because it's not as good as Johnny.
Yeah.
Which sounds like an American name. Henning. Oh my God. Yes, Henning. Very famous gentleman. Oh, wait a minute. Oh God, look. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Look at the screen. Look at the screen, James. Oh.
I know it's horrible, isn't it?
Oh. Et Julien Chavanton. Over this Bodhi character.
Who's our favorite French Canadian. He did the most brilliant Dangerous Demo and won at Astricon last year. It was really good. He did Space Invaders, and everybody could dial in and join in this game of Space Invaders. Space Invaders with Asterisk. So very clever. Constantine from SIP3. Now, SIP3.io is a competitor for Homer.
Oh. Interesting.
So it's all about
try to avoid the fist fights that often break out over these.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. They gave a presentation.
But here it is.
I was sitting next to Alexander, who was much way through.
Here's the three tenors, except it's the two Lorenzos.
Or Lorenzi.
The Lorenzi, Magnani and Miniero.
Yeah.
A couple of our
favorites. Both of them both speak very rapidly, don't they? I love Lorenzo because
they're both.
What you have to do is you have to look at the video playback, but put it on half speed.
Lorenzo
because the information rate in his broadcast is so.
I don't know Matt Hendricks.
I do.
Do you?
Yeah.
I have not met him.
Yeah, he is. Where's he based? He's based
Silicon Valley. 5 years at Sun.
Yeah,
Oracle. And he's an entrepreneur working on voice-based systems.
Now based in Chicago, I think.
Okay.
Well, look, there's our good friend Marcus.
There's Marcus,
who we tried to get on here, but he's not coming on.
He wasn't able to.
Well, Marcus is key in one of the key players in
Zipgate.
Yes, indeed. Then there's Marcus from the Fraunhofer.
I don't recall, and I should. He must have been there every time.
Yeah,
he's the guy who does all those 5G things.
Yes,
which we're going to talk about in just a moment.
Yes, indeed.
Then our old pal Matthew,
another one of the Digium survivors.
Yeah,
he is the titular head of the Asterisk project at this moment in time.
Right.
So he is the man who is responsible. I was going to say the fat controller, but he's certainly not fat. Haven't seen him since the week before last when he was in Belgium. Mods Taba,
who wrote the book on Asterisk in Persian languages in 2017. I don't recall him.
I've never met him. So
no, but these are new people that we're going to meet, James. You got to get out there.
He's the first one that I don't know.
Right. That's because you know everybody, including Mr. Ule.
Yeah, where is Ule? We need to get him on.
I've tried.
I want to find out what hat he's wearing, but the problem is he's working far too hard.
Well, look at this. There's a 1965 picture of me.
Yeah, who is that? And
Sandro Gucci.
Sandro, the author of Sip Vicious, aka Friendly Scanner.
Yep, I should have brought my T-shirt.
Yeah, and then Sean as well.
Yeah.
Sean, and there's a very youthful looking
Sean. He was like 20 then. Hey, wait, was Sean James? Is Sean the guy who was he at ComCon last year by any chance?
Yes, he was.
I think he was. He started a company. He explained how he started the company, right?
Yeah, he comes from Atlanta.
Yeah, there you go.
And he's married to a charming lady who unfortunately is in a wheelchair. I don't know whether you've met her.
I don't recall, but if she was there,
well, you'd remember her if you met her because she's absolutely delightful.
Great. Well, that'd be great to see him again. I remember he did a great presentation. He was one of those people who does a good one.
Yes, in fact,
everybody is.
I put him up for an award at Astricon.
Actually,
I had to nominate somebody, and I nominated him.
And Simon Woodhead is, of course, one of the great speakers. He's always got an interesting presentation.
Yeah.
Sylvain was originally from France. I think he's still in Canada now. And I don't recall seeing him for years, but I saw him when he was here when we used to meet for Astricon.
Yeah, he's a lovely chap as well, isn't he?
The next gentleman is from the, I thought he was, from the Fraunhofer, right? He works there, or he's part of it.
Yes, yeah. And
he's the other guy who's the 5G guy that talks about that.
Yeah,
stuff.
Thomas and what's his name? Dr. Where is he? I've lost him now. Yeah, the Romanian chap. Marius Julian Corici. Yeah, yet another bright Romanian. There's so many of them floating around.
Yes, they have a whole. I feel like we're the Oscars or something. I don't know what, or the Thanksgiving, the Macy's parade, maybe.
Absolutely.
All right, Thomas Weber, Weber.
Pascom. Of course, Pascom are the team who do the extremely good job of producing the videos.
Yep, they're great.
They are great.
I think even Michael likes what they do, and he's a tough audience.
And look, there's a picture of Tim holding his nose. Anyone would think that something very smelly has just arrived.
Could be. All right, so
Probably,
Tim will be there.
Probably a fax machine.
This is somebody new that I don't recall. Who I don't recall.
No, I don't know either.
Patent for DTMF bleed removal. That's a good one. We all know, how painful that can be.
Oh.
If you've ever had your DTMF removed, by the way, you'll remember that. All right, terrible joke.
No, DTMF bleed is where it
yeah, I get it.
It's supposed to be filtered out, but
it's supposed to kind of act like a squelch. But that's fascinating that somebody implemented that. Of course, it had to be done.
University of York, so a Brit.
Interesting. Managed community services. Well, that's going to be interesting because it's somebody new. There are about 5 new people. There's a lot of people who have,
and there are more to come yet.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right, then I'm going to stop presenting and let you get back to it. So, James, we were going to talk about, and we were going to speak to this with Marco as well, but actually, Michael introduced this topic. Michael, why don't you say your piece first on the 5G and what they're doing? I think it was, you said, in Houston.
Well, okay, sure. Bit of a rant, but what the heck? Known for such things. So, yeah. Well, I resemble that remark with the possible exception of the old. So here's the thing. A young man who works for Houston Public Media, which is our local PBS affiliate, a reporter, in point of fact, went before Houston City Council a couple of weeks ago. They have these things on Tuesdays where anybody can sign up and go speak to City Council. Raise your issue, whatever it is. And he brought forward some things which made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Specifically, he was advocating for the city to think twice about the push they've had to be one of the first cities with 5G wireless rollout. And the city is very excited to be one of the first cities where 5G is rolled out. Verizon and AT&T both have rolled out 5G fixed wireless services, and it's actually, people are starting to sign up. It's quite affordable. Anyhow, they're making great claims about speed, performance, whatever. Lots of reasons to not do it, though. I won't get into those. Mostly, you're on a metered connection versus an unmetered connection. If you have the opportunity to be on the Comcast HFC network, it might not be as fast, but at the same time, it's more reliable. I don't know. There's lots of reasons. But the thing that this young man was coming forward with was a bunch of stuff about 28 gigahertz or 5G without really specifying what it was. 5G is a radiation hazard and a health hazard. And boy, haven't we heard this before? I mean, in the early 90s, we heard this when DECT first came out. People were like literally allergic to DECT, which is in the 1.9 gigahertz band. And then people were allergic to Wi-Fi and it was causing health problems. And then cell phones were all giving us brain cancer. And now 28 gigahertz. I just fail to see how a 28 gigahertz signal that will not penetrate a wall poses a health hazard, particularly in the fixed wireless installation, where they literally have to mount a box on the outside of your house and bring the cable in, and then you have
levels are going to be lower anyway.
Yeah, and so if somebody wanted to make an argument, irrational though it might be, about your handset, your mobile phone handset being, because you're holding it up against your head, and presumably it has a certain amount of power output, I would say, okay, that's an argument maybe I'd be more willing to hear than 5G is going to nuke us all simply for the fixed wireless service, where the cell sites are literally like a 1,000-foot sphere around a cell site. So it's 500 foot in each direction around a cell. It just strikes me as being crazy.
Is that with 5G, particularly the millimetric 5G, the cell sizes are going to be so much smaller. So this is why I laugh when people say, well, we're going to get 5G in Houston. well, you're not going to get 5G in Houston, where you're going to get little tiny islands of 5G in spots of around Houston, but you're not
Well,
going
and
to
this,
get 5G everywhere.
yeah, and this then is going to emphasize the long-standing problem we have of inequity. That is to say, in good neighborhoods, in high-income neighborhoods, high property value neighborhoods, you're going to get all kinds of coverage because they're going to pepper those things everywhere, right? They're going to milk that market for all it's worth. In lower income neighborhoods, though, you probably won't see that much because we already know that they don't build out network infrastructure in places where they can't,
Make money.
seriously milk it. So yeah, so that creates a sort of a different, just another angle on the digital divide. I find all of this quite worrying, and the worrying part is it's a little bit like anti-vaxxers in my opinion, because you've got a lot of people going off on misinformation, or even if it's not misinformation, it's like a part of the picture. They hear a little snippet of something without realizing the bigger picture, and they just don't have the attention span or the interest in taking it all in. They'd rather take an emotional position because they heard somebody say it on TV. Anyhow, 28 gigahertz, bring it, baby, bring it. I'm not going to pay for it though, because I have no interest in that sort of thing. I want fiber to my house. That's what I want. I don't want.
Lies another problem. It's the cost involved in rolling this stuff out. Bearing in mind that the cell sizes are going to be so much smaller, it means that you're going to need many, many, many more of them. Also, there's another hidden cost, and that is the power consumption of 5G cells is going to be times 3 or times 4 that of a 4G LTE installation.
And the 4G LTE gives you so much more range.
Well, not necessarily, no, because
is a power level differences at that scale, is it, or?
No, I think I probably tried very poorly to explain what 5G is about. 5G is not just about going fast. It's about being able to trade off in 3 dimensions, and speed, bandwidth, is one of those 3 dimensions. But the other 2 are latency, so you can have ultra low latency communications, which of course you need if you're driving cars or flying drones or doing telemedicine or even playing live music together. And then the other dimension is power or range. And so if you want to do really long range, you can do that with a 5G waveform. Or alternatively, you might have a device that you want to put a battery in and then chuck it out in the Bondu and have it operate without changing the battery for 10 years. And the key to that is being able to wind the power right down. So when we're talking about power, it's all about the radio path capability. Radio path capability is the path loss over which a radio system can operate successfully. And the good news is that 5G, it's got a really, really large radio path capability, which means you can wind the power down. That's what I'm trying to say.
But and all of that, right, is more than a city councilor and the city of Houston can grok. It just doesn't fit between their ears. And that's not even the whole picture, because you haven't said anything yet about frequency. And we're having people roll these things out at various different bands, right? And their behavior with respect to biological entities is quite different at 900 megahertz versus 5 gigahertz versus 28 gigahertz.
But generically, you're going to have kind of the 2 kind of flavors of 5G. You're going to have the super high capacity millimetric wave stuff at the top end, but you're also going to have 5G waveforms down at the bottom end in the 600, 700 megahertz spectrum, which will give really, really good radio path capability, but not a huge amount of bandwidth. So again, it's all about trade-offs, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And anyhow, I just think that it's. I think it's. I'm tempted to jump in. I don't want to go get into the fray. You know, somebody says something on the internet and it's wrong and it makes your hackles go up, but at the same time, you can't sort of right all the wrongs in the world, and
Yeah.
it's unclear. Certainly, no one will trust or should trust the carriers. They are not trustworthy.
Indeed.
But
Well, I think
we do need to dispel disinformation.
let's ask a different question. Now we at Mobile World Congress, we saw the first wave of 5G capable handsets. Will you be rushing out to buy one?
Oh.
Why is that?
Well, coverage.
Really good reason.
Coverage, and also everything I'm seeing now. Well, I haven't paid much attention because I'm not shopping for it. I'm not all the things that I'm seeing that are getting news headlines are just hellaciously expensive. There's no way I'm spending $1,000 on the phone.
That's the other problem. Yeah, the cost. So we're talking about the high-end Huawei and Samsung things coming at about what, $1,600 to $1,800, something like that. Ridiculous. The one affordable 5G handset is the Xiaomi Mi Mix 3, which is already out. But the 5G variant of that will be out shortly, and that's about $600, something like that, which is by far the cheapest.
Is there any chance that the standards will change? In other words, for example, some phones came out, they were 3G capable years ago, and then 3G plus, HBSA plus, whatever that's called, came out, and some phones couldn't do it. Or to put it more bluntly, there were a lot of phones out there that were doing GPRS, and when 3G came out, you may have had a phone that didn't do it. So
the waveforms are specified, but not all phones may do the complete spectrum of options, which is what we got with 4G. So even today, there are chipsets that don't support the top end or, interesting enough, the bottom end waveforms.
There's another aspect too that you pointed out to me that I didn't even know, which is that iPhones have apparently all the frequencies for all the world or close to it, right? Whereas a lot of Android phones do not. No, that's not true. I thought it was.
Yeah, well, it really depends on the chipset. So going back a couple of years ago, I've lost my video.
We shall see you.
State of the art was. Do you remember quad band phones?
Yep.
The quad band,
tri-band, quad band, hexaband.
Yeah. But that was state of the art a couple of years ago. Today, it's quite common to get an Android or even an iPhone which supports 40 different bands. You think 40 bands? How can that be? How can they construct an antenna system which is resonant across all of those bands? And do you know the answer? Because
you're holding it wrong.
No, I know the answer.
Yeah,
which is clever people like Qualcomm have come up with a combined power amplifier and antenna tuner chip. So this is a solid state. It's a chip which actually not only acts as your power amplifier, but it also tunes the antenna. So you don't have to have a resonant antenna on every band. You just tune it to resonance.
So is that like an LC filter kind of thing where they can dynamically tune it?
No, it's not a filter. What you're doing is you're adding complex impedance, so reactive and capacitive elements to the antenna to match out the complex components to make it resonant. And when you're resonant, you'll have 100% resistive component only. There's no positive or negative reactive bits. And at that point, all the power that you stuff into the antenna goes into the antenna and radiates. What you're trying to do is to reduce the amount of reflective power that comes back at you, because that gets dissipated in the power amplifier of your phone, which is not good for anybody, really. You end up with a very hot phone. So there we are. And the wonderful thing about these solid state PAs with antenna matches is they're incredibly small. We're talking about a chipset which is 1.5 millimeters thick, yet can push out up to what, 2 watts of power and tune an antenna.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah,
Pretty
absolutely
amazing.
awesome. Here's another interesting thing. There's a lot of talk at the moment about shared access spectrum and sharing spectrum. So here in the UK, Ofcom, the regulator, is pushing a concept whereby in places that operator allocated spectrum is not being used, third parties can come and apply for it and use it. It's all part of the use it or lose it type thing. But one of the things that I'm worried about there is that they're suggesting that whoever gets in there first can grab the spectrum and use it. What they fail to appreciate is that with modern waveforms, you can quite happily run multiple cells on the same frequency without wiping each other out. I don't know whether you're aware of that. It's because they all use direct sequence spread spectrum waveforms, but with different spreading codes. And so you can do diversity, not just in the frequency domain, you can also do it in the time domain. And so, so you end up using, having multiple cells radiating on the same channels, but with different spreading codes. Sorry, am I boring?
No, it was fascinating stuff. All kidding aside, that was a joke. I'm just.
You didn't know that, did you?
I'm just wondering. You spend $1,800 on a phone, then the next year, some new thing comes out that's a basic feature, like a new frequency. If you think about the evolution of TV sets, for example, that didn't happen quickly. I think the phones seem to happen a little more quickly.
Well, I'll tell you what is going to be new in the coming years, and that is going to be privately owned radio access networks. So
you know something about that?
The only people who can effectively push out mobile infrastructure are the big mobile network operators, because they control all of the spectrum, and the cost of pushing out this infrastructure is enormous. However, things are changing. So spectrum is becoming available so that people can use it. And also open source software solutions that allow you to build mobile core network infrastructure are also arriving. And so what does that mean? It means that if you are living in a place where you've got no cellular coverage, you could put your own cell up and offer service to anybody who comes near. What do you think of that?
Is it 100% compatible service, including data, or an LTE, or not?
Yeah, today it'd be LTE. Yes.
No, because as you know, a lot of people did that at the various conferences that you and I have been at over the years. People have had dataless. Well, you did a data thing.
The tricky bit is running the authentication to get people on the net, and then running the settlement for the charging. But I think we've come up with solutions for all of those challenges now.
Well, if you have your private network, anybody on that network can call anybody else on the network, presumably without having to deal with anything formal.
But we got that here. So
right.
I've got a 4G cell on my chimney. And if somebody from, I don't know, from wherever comes up here with a Vodafone or an O2 SIM, they drop off the end of Vodafone and O2. Their handset then goes into network search mode. Mm-hmm. It sees my cell and says, oh, there's a cell there. It's not on my forbidden list, so I'm going to have a go at attaching to that. And it tries to authenticate. And as long as my cell is connected back into the core network so that that authentication can get through, and they can correctly authenticate, then they can join my network.
All right, but they're on your. My question is, because I have a question. Cue your funny.
I have a question, which is mine. It's all mine.
Being all right. So I drive up there with my phone, and it somehow connects to your network. Now I want to call the States.
Yep.
What happens?
It's exactly the same as any other roaming network.
Well, who's going to be paying for how is that charge going to work, since you don't have a structure of billing and all that, right?
Well,
you're saying that
you, the user, would pay on your normal cellular bill with whatever plan you have. And so the question that you have is, how do we do the interoperator settlement?
Okay, so all right.
Because if you're a tiny little person, you've only got one cell, you're not going to be doing TADIG code-based tap records for monthly settlement with the big mobile network operators, are you? And the answer to that is something that came out of the United States. Because in the United States, there are still a number of these micro operators floating around. And you know what? They don't do tap records and TADIG codes and things like that, because it's all far too difficult. They could come up with a much simpler solution, which they call mutual forgiveness. Have you heard me talk about this before?
No, but it's a concept that I think I understand.
Okay.
But let me just, before you get started here, just want to be clear about something. So basically, what you're saying is that the solution is the same as if you're roaming.
Yeah, but it's not national roaming. This is local roaming. It's a bit different.
Well, again, I call the United States. That call is worth, I don't know, 18 cents a minute or something at least.
No.
How is that happening?
At wholesale, it's probably about 0.4 of a cent.
Okay, but still, there's a charge. So it's not free. In other words, how does it? Because my current plan, by the way, doesn't allow me to call the United States, but it allows me to call in Europe. Let's say that I had the plan that could call the States, so then it's included, and I normally would pay nothing. Are you saying that I can go call the States from your house and it'll cost nothing to me?
No, you will pay whatever you would normally pay on your cellular bill.
Yeah, but if I have that capability of unlimited calling to the United States, then I would pay nothing.
Correct.
Okay. Well, I don't know how that works, but
well, I do.
Not really my problem.
I know exactly how that works. Anyway, it's just called mutual forgiveness, and
well, you and I need to get some of that between us, right?
Yeah.
Because, I find it hard to forgive you for some of the things you've done.
What?
I'm pulling your leg. We have 16 more minutes.
I need an OBE for this, because this is really, really clever.
Yeah.
So what the concept, have you heard the concept of reverse MVNO before? Because that's what we're doing here. So an MVNO is where you have an operator who has SIM cards, but they go off and they roam onto operator networks. But a reverse MVNO is, well, totally the opposite, where you set up your own radio access network, and then the MNO, the mobile network operator SIMs, come and roam onto your network.
Ah, yes. Now that is interesting, because when they have no signal, so Vodafone, up in your neck of the woods, there's no Vodafone signal.
Yeah, no
right?
Vodafone, there's no O2, there's no 3.
There's nothing.
And so when those handsets turn up here in the Chalk Valley, the handset just goes into search mode, and it will try and attach, because it's a bit of a tart. A mobile handset's a bit that way. They go for anything that is not forbidden,
Mm-hmm.
and they will attach.
Okay. You may be falling asleep too. Are there any questions from the numerous audience that we have?
Particularly on ZipDX.
I don't think there's anybody on ZipDX. Wake up, ZipDX. We do have Dan Jenkins on IRC in case he wants to type in it. I'm sure Dan has many questions. He would possibly understand.
If Dan the thing, he can pop up and reveal himself.
Well, he may not be able to, but I'll try to get that happening.
Well, it's always good to see Dan.
Let's see if we can do that.
Dan, the Comcan man. Con man.
All right.
Our very own Nimble Ape. And Dangerous Demo winner.
He says no.
Oh, no fun, Dan.
There was quite a discussion earlier this week amongst some people who were doing some live streaming stuff about how they bring a telephone call into their live streaming event. And you know, we've been doing this for all these years, and it's so easy. And other people
cheap.
Yeah, and other people just they start thinking of such Byzantine things, and I want to say no.
Like the inductive phone patch
Okay.
coil.
Do either of you have an Amazon smart device within range of you?
Yes.
Okay. I wonder. Alexa, call Michael Graves.
Michael Graves has not signed up for Alexa calling. To see who I can call, say Alexa, show my contacts.
Oh, you haven't signed up for calling on your Alexa device, Michael. It's very boring.
Not telephone calling, but we call between the Echo devices because there's a big Echo on my wife's desk in the house and a little dot here.
Yeah, that's just drop in though, isn't it?
I guess. I don't know. I never do it because it sounds kind of crappy.
Yeah, we use it all the time. So I say, Alexa, drop in.
I think she actually just calls it. Because it...
Yes.
Hang on. Alexa, call James Bodie.
I can't place this call right now because you're already in a conversation. Please ask me to hang up first before making a call.
Wait a minute. Is that Michael's thing?
Alexa,
British accent?
I didn't hear what mine said.
Oh, I didn't either.
No.
Call James Bodie.
Calling James Body's home.
James Body. That's the problem.
Michael Graves.
Michael J. Graves would like to talk.
Talk.
There we go. Hello, Michael.
The Graves would like to talk.
Now you're coming through the dot.
Talk about talk.
I go to the dot.
Yeah. It's bad.
It's going to be one of those number nine.
Yes,
Anyway,
we'll stop that, shall we?
Are you impressed by that?
Sorry, something went wrong.
You're not kidding.
So anyway, that's another way of doing it. And if you've got Google.
So how many hundreds of millions of dollars did they spend to be able to do that? Because they literally went and bought a company, right, to be able to do that, to give them telecom infrastructure.
I'm calling James on...
Decline that. I can't
You declined my call.
on the same device.
Well, you got 20 devices there.
Yeah, but call the other identity.
I can't. You can't call an email.
Hey, I have, I don't know that this matters to you all. I thought it was newsworthy, though. Our friends, Emil and company, with Jitsi Meet, they've responded to my challenge and have in development a version that's 4K capable. And while I haven't played with it too much, it looks like it works. You just have to have the right kind of sources, which means...
You have a camera that does 4K?
Several.
I didn't know that.
Several.
Or maybe that's common.
And there's a number of reasons to do this, but the reason I was inclined to ask Emil about it was because the browsers are 4K capable and actually readying for 8K. That's not going to happen anytime soon, but the software underpinnings are set to allow those settings. But you might remember Life Size from years ago when we tried to get them on and they backed out. But they did give us webcams and headsets and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Logitech webcams. They launched in January a 4K endpoint and a 4K cloud video conference service. And so I thought, hey, if the commercial people are doing this, let's see if the open source guys are up to it as well. And sure enough, didn't even take them very long.
I've lost my
Video.
no, have I?
Yeah. Probably when I called you.
Yeah, you probably
I
screwed it up.
screwed it up.
There we go. I'm back again.
You're back.
I've lost my pixel
You are back.
because I can call people. Okay, Google, call Randy Resnick. It's underneath his paper somewhere. Probably won't believe that.
Sorry, who do you want to call?
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters. Yeah. Nice. I think we should end with that.
Accessories.
Oh, it's calling Busters. But no, I
Calling
don't.
Ghostbusters?
Motorcycle. No, stop. Stop.
Don't stop. Do it again.
Who are the Ghostbusters?
Delete.
No, you're calling Busters in.
Oh,
No, I don't want to call Busters in Swansea.
what are your last words, everybody? Anybody?
Good night. Good night, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie, wherever you are. James.
Time for your close-up.
Okay. That's it? That's all you got?
Yeah, multi-operator neutral host. You know where you heard it first. Oh,
All right. Well, we'll continue to play. I think I mentioned duo.google.com if you want to play with that. It's got some.
oh, it's Jay. That's what it is.
Yes, because if you're looking on IRC,
Yeah.
Dan actually said
No,
so.
it's Jay the Australian, isn't it? Big Jay.
Good night.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry, Jay. I'm old. I'm forgetful. Of course, I know who Jay is.
I don't recall. Good night.